You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Palace of Mega Pencils. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Hello and welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo, your favorite podcast about video games, but we're doing it Sports Edition because sports happened yesterday.
Yes, it did.
Sports ball.
Sports ball.
Woo! I hope everyone is recovering. Do people recover? I don't go to Super Bowl parties.
I don't either. I would imagine there is some recovering to be had. I mean, the game is at least on early,
sure,
right? It's not like you have to wait till 7, 8, or 9 o'clock at night. So,
and
yeah,
wasn't there
all the beers and foods?
Wasn't there a time when it was later? I felt like there was when I was younger. I felt like it ran late into the evening, like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I could be wrong.
Oh, maybe the festivities did.
Perhaps.
I feel like it always started at 5 something because kickoff was always some like 5:14 or 5:09. It was always some like, why can't you just say 5:15?
Sure.
5 o'clock. I never could understand that. So I always remember 5-ish.
Okay.
But I remember it used to be in January.
Yeah.
That I remember. And then I can't remember over the last 15 or so years that something happened some week where it got shoved into February and then it seemed like we left it there.
Again,
I don't remember now what it was.
I have vague recollections of Super Bowl events that I've been to with other family members.
Yeah.
It's just not my. I did not grow up in those families.
Yeah, I didn't either. I never went for the sports. I went for the food and the people.
Yeah.
Because I like to eat and drink.
But even then, the people.
Yeah, you know.
It's just my opinion.
Yeah. And happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
And happy Monday.
Yeah, we're doing things. You know who we are.
You know what's going on.
236 episodes in, you should know who the fuck we are by now.
Right. If you're new, well then, hi.
Hi, I'm Steven. This is Lace.
This is Lace.
We host a show. That's how the thing happens. Anyway, I wanted to talk about 2 things real quick. One, I wanted to actually do as an update to something I was talking about last week because do you remember where I kind of threw out the possibility, I think I talked about it here, where Warner Brothers could be looking to sell Harry Potter and Disney could be eyeing it? Well,
yeah, you were talking about that because like doesn't Disney already have a Wizard Park or something?
Something like that. So now David did kind of throw out a little something on our Discord. See, this is where you can go to the Discord and join in.
Learn stuff, yeah.
But he kind of mentioned something about the Universal connection because they have the Universal Park and kind of where they have that stake in it. I guess it might be a fight, because Disney would have to probably pay out some royalties, and if they did get it, then they'd have to tear that down and make it a part of theirs. I don't know. Just
yeah.
I got what he was trying to say. So
yeah, it would be a mess.
Follow me here. This is a rumor.
Okay.
So this is not confirmed in any way whatsoever, but the source is said to be someone who works within Warner Media. Okay. From what I'm hearing, based on this rumor, the DCU slate that James Gunn laid out was nothing more than a sales pitch to other potential buyers. It was to say, we're doing this new thing. We're going to do some wild and crazy ideas. And we've got this fantastic, visionary who has all these great ideas. And then we're going to do a few of those, see how they land. And then that will entice the other potential buyers to come in and be like, oh, DC's doing great. I want that. And then I'll pay you good money for it. Conversely, they are doing the same thing with Harry Potter. And it will also be on the chopping block for potential buyers. Now, in saying that, I know it sounds a little like...
Well, it's just like, was there more movies or anything planned? Like,
Well,
I
see
guess I
that...
just didn't
Yeah,
know
now that one
if-
kind of threw me for a loop a little bit because I haven't heard anything about any kind of
I
reboots.
just kind of thought it was wrapped up and, as far as the stories go.
So whatever the case may be, Warner Brothers may have something on the back burner. They're getting ready to pop out and be like, hey, look at this thing. But at the same time, based on some of the details I've heard, it might not even matter because that franchise apparently has a potential buyer already eyeing it.
Oh.
And that potential buyer, wouldn't you know it, is Universal Studios. The ones that have the park.
The park.
And all that. Apparently they have a good relationship with the Potter people, as it was said in the article.
The Potter people.
And they want it. So they could potentially get it for however much Warner Brothers is willing to sell it for. Now, as far as DC goes, it seems that Apple...
How are they involved? Am I confused?
Well, it's all under the Warner Brothers umbrella.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, as far as DC goes, apparently Apple and Amazon are the two competing studios eyeballing that.
Damn.
Yeah. Now...
Please don't go to Amazon. Of course, I guess either way, honestly, when you put those two up against, just like, meh.
Well, what surprises me about this the most is that David Voslov, whatever the fuck his name is, that runs Warner Brothers now, the fact that he is willing to sell two of their biggest IP.
I feel like he just came in to, like, tear it down. Does anybody understand the choices being made here?
I don't. I really don't, because now look, I understand they still have some other IP. But these are DC alone is huge. This setting up a brand new DC, this is going to make you money. Regardless of all the hate that people will be like, Zack Snyder,
Yeah.
It's going to make you money.
Yeah.
Billions if you just allow it to.
Right.
So why would you set it up to present as a sales pitch? I don't understand this man.
Not for advertising or something so they can get more money? Like, hey, we'll drink a Coke in the movie if you give us money.
Well, I mean, they've done that before. Yeah, you'd think that would be the way to go, but I don't know what this man is doing. Because like you said, I think he's in there just to tear it all down. How this benefits...
Because the decisions just seem to not make any sense at all. And I'm not a business person. I'll put that out there. I probably don't know first thing, but yeah.
Well, even to kind of piggyback off of that, I don't know if you remember the rumors that they were going to combine HBO Max and Discovery Plus.
Yeah.
That's not happening
I remember
anymore.
That rumor. Oh.
Yeah. He's decided that Discovery Plus just needs to stay its own thing. They're still going to revamp HBO Max into Max because sure.
How many times are we going to change that crap around? I feel like HBO's been changed around like 4 or 5 times in the last several years. I don't know.
So whatever he said, according to the man who knows everything and is the smart businessman, taking and keeping them separate, that people who already subscribe to Discovery Plus, they don't want to go. It's going to confuse them to have to go and subscribe to this other thing.
Content. Oh, yeah.
Even though you could just roll over their plans.
Sure. Like people have done before.
Yeah. So I don't know what's happening. And I would hate to think that Warner Brothers is about to become a relic.
Yeah.
But it's starting to seem that way.
Yeah.
Based on this man's decisions.
Unless there's some genius thing that's going to come out of this that just none of us could see coming. But yeah, it just seems really interesting that those are the ones on the chopping block. Those are the conversations being had to be sold instead of how do we revamp that to make us more money because it's already making money.
Mm-hmm. So I guess
to an extent, I mean,
I guess
you even get the Rage PR. Come on, man, between like Aquaman and Flash and like you're getting all the Rage PR.
Sure. But I cannot, for outside of something like Looney Tunes, I can't think of any other big franchise IPs that they own.
Yeah, I think you named them.
Yeah. I could be missing something. I know that they own several networks like Cartoon Network and
like everything's under a couple umbrellas anymore.
Turner Classic, all that stuff. But it just, I'm missing a bigger picture somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Oof. Yeah.
So
I've even been questioning like some of Gunn's decisions too, but I'm just trying to be patient and see what the bigger plan is,
Well,
because it's new. It's a different person. They want to do their own thing.
I'm kind of on board with some of the announcements he made because they sound very interesting as far as bringing in, because Gunn, we've seen, whether it be Guardians of the Galaxy or Suicide Squad, he likes playing with these odd characters. And I think it's interesting that he's not only playing with some of the bigger characters like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, but he's also saying, well, let's introduce some of these weirder, odd characters that no one really knows about but have a rich history in the comics. So you're not just playing up the big guns, you're playing up both sides. So then you can kind of let them grow organically into one another. Swamp Thing alone was a big surprise to me, and I was so excited because that got a bad rap on HBO Max.
Didn't even get to finish the season.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Well, it didn't even come to HBO Max. It was on, what was it? It might be on there now. I don't know. But the DC, when they had their DC Universe app or whatever.
Maybe that was it. You're right. You're right. Because the Hubs was watching it, getting into it. And then I remember oh my God.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even hardly give it a chance. And they're already canning it.
All because of some tax break nonsense in North Carolina where they were filming. And it got shut down.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's all it was about.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous, as far as I'm concerned.
I feel like you could have gone somewhere else, but okay.
You'd think so. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this. Are you a fan of Gabriel Iglesias?
I mean, I know who it is.
You ever watched any of his stand-up? Mm-hmm.
Oh, Fluffy.
Yeah.
Yes. It took me a minute.
Martin.
Oh, yes. I do love me some Fluffy. I met him once. Did I tell you that?
No, you did not.
It was very quick. It's not even that cool of a story, but where I used to work at the restaurant was near a big convention center where like people would go all the time. And he came in to eat one day. And I was working the front, managing that evening. And I was like, put him in a private room. Very soft hands.
I bet.
Shook my hand and I just look at the other manager. I'm like, oh my God, they're so soft. I don't know why that's the only thing I really remember. It's just, oh my God, you moisturize really well. Ooh. Anyway, but yes.
Oh, no, I don't have a story even remotely close to that, but I actually got to see him at Zany's last night.
Really?
Yeah. He was
just at a regular Zany's, eh? Fun.
Which was interesting because I was surprised that he was at Zany's because I know he
seems bigger than that.
Exactly.
Like he's doing frickin' stadiums now.
Yeah, he did.
Stadiums.
He talked about that. He said, the last time I was here, I was at the big, can't remember, Bridgestone Arena, I think it is, in Nashville. And obviously he did that Netflix special at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
And he was talking about that. He's like, that was huge. And he said during that stand-up, I had talked about retiring because how could I top this?
Right.
And
him and what's his name?
Yeah. And he kind of just debated on it. He's like, he said, I decided that I'm going to retire. I decided to retire the material I did that night and then go back out on the road and hit up the little clubs and just, I don't know, reinvigorate.
Again.
Yeah. He said, because I enjoy this. This makes me happy. And he said, I haven't really hit a point where I want to stop doing this because I love doing this. He said, so when I get there, sure. But I realized that night I wasn't done with stand-up, so I wanted to do something like this. And so that was neat to actually see him in a club.
That was fun in a smaller setting like that. Did you know that's who it was going to be when you went?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know sometimes you can just go to Zany's and see what's up. But, fun.
No, that one was, I knew, I don't have like a connection like Katrina does, and our anniversary is like in 2 weeks, so I thought, I saw he was coming to town. I thought this would be a great anniversary present. A little early, but whatever. And
who cares? Yeah.
Because if it would have been at a stadium, I
I don't know. I feel like comedy, I want to be at least a little close enough that I can see some sort of mannerisms and facial expressions, because a lot of comedians, that's part of their timing as well. That's part of their shtick. They might not be saying anything for a minute and just acting out the scene or whatever. So yeah, when it starts getting too large that I'm having to watch it on a large screen, I may as well have just stayed home, is how I look at it. And I'll get better camera angles. I'll hear better. I can pause and go to the bathroom. Like,
I 100% agree with that. And so I do like the smaller venue like Zany's because it's a comedy club. That's what you're there for. And it doesn't feel overwhelming with thousands of people. It's more like 100 or so crammed into a room, which, hey, COVID.
Right.
But
well, it's over, didn't you hear?
Oh, yeah, sure. But no, he had some interesting stories. He did jokes that I'd never heard of. He even told a story which I was unaware of. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but the shirts that he wears, like the big Hawaiian type shirts.
Yeah.
He said that is in honor of Robin Williams. And
I don't think I knew that either.
I did not know that. But he even told a story where he got a call from someone, like a comedy club owner. And the guy told him that he wanted him to come and do a performance that night. And he said, but the person who wants you to come down wants to go on after you. And he was like, after me? It's like, no, because he explained it. He said, whoever's headlining, that's the guy. They're the last person to go on the stage. Yeah. And that's that. And he's like, after? So he was trying to get it out of him. And the guy was like, I can't tell you who it is. I can't tell you who it is. He's like, what? He's like, fine. He said, out of curiosity, I want to come down now just to see what the hell's up. So he goes down there. Everyone does their bits. He gets on. He said about 20 minutes in, the club owner's sitting there flagging him down. And he's like, what's going on? He's like, the guy's here. And he's like, all right. And he gets a note to introduce whoever that is, opens it up, and it's Robin Williams. And he thought for a minute, he was like, no.
Y'all are messing with me.
Bullshit. Yeah. And he said even he and the club owner had these bits where they would play pranks on one another. And when he went to introduce Robin out on stage, he said that everyone in the crowd was just like, no, boo. Like they just, because they wanted him. They thought it was a joke. And then he got it into his head. He's like, oh, this son of a bitch. He just played me. Oh, I'm going to get him back. He said, not to realize Robin was right behind him. Yeah.
Oh,
on the stage.
How fun.
He said, I couldn't see him because he was right behind me. The audience couldn't see him because he was right behind me. And as everyone laughed, he flipped off the entire crowd. He's like, shut up. You don't know me. But no, he said it was just like one of those mind-blowing moments for him because
hell yeah.
He barely got to meet him. And that was just a huge thing for him. Got to shake his hand, take a picture with him. But he never got to express how much he meant or Robin meant to him. So he said that's the one regret he ever had because he never got to meet him again. But that was just an experience that he had that he'll never forget.
What a fun story.
So if you've never heard that, I just shared it with you.
I had not.
Yeah.
Yes, that was fun.
But no, if he's coming to your town anytime soon doing a small comedy club, definitely hit him up because that was a lot of fun.
Check it out. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably have to get on it right away, but
perhaps.
Because there's a couple that I know around here. But that's why I was curious because I figured that'd sell out pretty quick.
It did. It was a sold out show for sure. But
yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Having 50 seats? Like that's not going to go
for
very long, for someone of that caliber. But fun.
Yeah. Definitely go check him out if you can.
I do enjoy his stand up. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. I think at first I thought you were talking about who's the singer Iglesias?
Enrique?
Yes. I don't know why I think that's who I thought. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a name I haven't thought of in forever.
Right?
It's like, he's still doing stuff?
Is he?
I don't know. Yeah.
So what you been playing?
So I went back to Oxygen Not Included this week. There's something about this, how severe of a base builder this is that I'm like, I want to figure it out. I think it's harder than RimWorld. I think I've decided it's harder than that because of all of the intricate different things that you can build to keep things going. And I admit I've started it over so many times because I'd finally get so far and hit a snag, do something dumb, build it wrong or something that it's just like, you know what? I don't know that I feel like tearing this whole thing down and starting again because they're already getting cranky because now I'm behind on this or this. So the fact that there's such an intricate plumbing system and gas system just blows my mind. I was even showing the hubs. I'm like, look at my research tree. It like goes on forever. And I still can't figure out how to get filtered water at the end. I'm running it through 2 filters that I'm seeing. And it'll come out clear. It's no longer polluted, but all the food poisoning, all the germs. I can't figure out how to filter that and it's starting to get me angry because I've been keeping 4 duplicates. That's it. I refuse to grow higher because like then there's just more mouths to feed and water. And it's just, let's start small. Let's try to figure it out. But I eventually run out of my pure water well or what the area that started. I'm like, I don't know how to make more for you. So then it's like, I don't understand. So I finally looked up just like pictures of builds because I'm like, what am I missing?
Yeah.
Like I'm clearly missing a piece somewhere and I'm tired of building it and tearing it down and redoing piping and stuff. It's waiting for them to get the stuff because now everything's so far away. It's just like, Jesus Christ, come on. So siblings, I need help. I can't figure out how to get filtered water. I think I finally figured out how to get certain gases out of the way. I have no idea if you can have too much in a little area. I was just going to test that the other day because I had so much carbon dioxide built up like right over where my water is. So every time they needed to go to water, because it's pushing down, so the gases are getting pushed into the lower levels. So I was like, okay, I don't know science, but I get what's happening in the game. We're just going to keep their living spaces up higher and I'll, just let it hang out down there where they don't have to walk through it. I don't know if it's going to explode or anything. We'll find out if I ever get to late game. I don't know. But it will stop. They will get clogged. Nice. Air, I don't know how, but sure. So it's getting clogged. And I think somewhere I'm missing a piping that maybe is germ-free or whatever, because once it's going through 2 filters and I'm still getting all these germs. Yeah. God damn it. What do you want me to do? So it's like I can get to about 30 or 40 day cycles and then I'm running out of water. And then it's like I'm going to start digging to other areas that have the water. But now you're walking back and forth so far to retrieve it that I don't feel like relocating my entire base near the water just to have to do it again because I can't figure out how to filter it.
Right.
I'll probably be complaining about this next week too. But I don't know. So I dove back into that. I'm hopeful that I can at least get some sort of water system going. The gases I feel like I can just kind of ignore for a minute. I just won't dig over there. We're going to leave it. We're going to leave it over there. I killed my first bug and I made barbecue.
Ooh,
I didn't
nice.
actually know I could just like beat it to death. You start to dig and then bugs will come up or whatever and they don't hurt you well, at least I'm playing on easy mode. So maybe if I wanted to go to survival mode, it would get harder.
Real gamer.
I know. I went on no sweat mode while I learned what the hell was going on here. And so what was I saying?
Bugs don't hurt you.
I killed my first bug and I didn't realize that I could. So they just go over there and kind of like use a little wave gun. I don't know. We're not even shooting. It's just like whoa, 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 whoa. Like I'm putting this little laser on it and then it dies. And then I went, oh, that's how I make barbecue. So that's my meat source now. So if I dig and find a bug and then I steal their eggs for omelets.
Gross.
So kind of. But I've been at least keeping food. Food's not been an issue. Food, which you would think would have been my hardest part, but nope, food's not been a problem. I've been finding plants. I've been keeping my base small so I don't have to feed that many people. Make 4 meals a day. We're good. but God damn it, water. God damn it, water. I don't know what to do. So that was it. That was all I went into. I kind of poked around on Next Fest because that's going on right now, and a bunch of demos that you can download on Steam and stuff to check some new stuff out. So I'll probably dive into those a little bit later. Usually you get like 20, 30-minute demos and I can get through it. So there was a few FMVs on there that I want to check out. And then, of course, I'm all excited for the 14th because 10 Dates then comes out.
Oh, yes, yes.
Which I liked the first one, so it's adorable. It was just so much fun, so I can't wait for that. So tomorrow,
woo, for
the Valentines.
Yeah.
But what have you been playing?
Still Death Stranding. I learned that I am well in the 110, 120 range of hours that I've played because I'm obsessive when it comes to certain games, and I can't help it. I feel like I have an obligation. I've noticed that I've actually, I didn't know this was a thing, but you can see your ranking, or it'll show you a ranking of things. I am number one in contributing materials to things.
Oh, for society?
Yeah, for the roads, for structures. It said number one, and I was like, holy shit.
So you're like Death Stranding's number one alderman.
Pretty much. Because I can't help, especially if I see a structure that's in need. The roads especially, that's a big deal. Roads always got to be good. So if I see them hitting below 50%, I'm like, all right, got to fix it.
Let's fix it.
And it's easy because all I got to do is just take, I usually do about 800 metal or 800 ceramics or something like that. You plop them in, boom, done. Especially if they're around the 50% range, that's more than enough to fix it.
Okay.
Get it back up. But sometimes I'll come across maybe a charger or something or a generator, I guess that's what they're called, for your batteries. And if it is beneficial to me, like I know that I benefit from this every single time I pass through an area and I see that it's rusty or it's damaged or something like that, I will fix it or I'll upgrade it because regardless of whoever put it there, I'm benefiting from it. Everybody else can benefit from it. Yeah. So let's get it back up and running. I even encountered something today, and this was my own creation, and it made me so mad because I've been so good at keeping track of all my structures and keeping them intact. And I had a zip line going from one way station all the way up into the mountains. And I thought, I need this because it's a shortcut. Saves me a lot of time and effort going all the way the fuck around the mountain. And halfway up, I stopped. And I was like, but my zip line's right there. And it was like, I can't go. And I was like, son of a bitch. I guarantee you it's down. Sure enough, I get up there and it's down and needs repairs. So I was like, son of a bitch.
Damn it.
So I had luckily picked up some ceramics on my way up, or special alloys. That's what the zip lines need. I found I put some in there just to kind of do a minor repair, and then I could get to where I was going, grab my materials back, and then go upgrade it so it can handle the frigid cold of the snow and whatnot. So I can't help it. And the funny thing about it is that I'm about to be done with this section. Like I'm story-wise, I'm supposed to go farther west into a new area, and I'm trying to clean up everything I can here. So making sure that everybody, I think I've gotten 5 stars from every location. So I've taken care of all the people. I think the only thing I have to do now is find whatever memory chips are left. And I feel like I've got 2 I need to find in the area. And I think I know exactly where they are. So it shouldn't be that hard to find. And then I can just move on. And when I get to the new area, whatever I've got to find there, whatever stars I got to get there, I can do that. I can focus on that in that area. And I won't have to worry about coming back. So I think about that as I'm like, well, trying to keep all this stuff intact. But if I'm not coming back, then other people can just deal with it, but I kind of...
Or not, apparently.
Yeah, because I even went back to this was an actual reason that I went back to the farther east section, is I was doing a modicum of trophy hunting, which
Okay.
I was curious if how long this would take, because they were like, this is a grind. And I was like, I think maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Because I've got a good system set up with zip lines and whatnot. But it's, I can't remember the name of the trophy, but essentially it's like you get this tag called Legend of Legends. And it's essentially a premium delivery that you can set up where you can get to deliver whatever they need within a set amount of time, or a certain way, no damage, whatever the conditions are. You have to meet them specifically, and you can get that Legends of Legends marking. So I thought, all right, well, let's try that, because all I needed was 80 overall, but it's 20 per different type of delivery. So if it's a cargo delivery or a time delivery or whatever, you just need 20 of those a piece, and then that's that. Now, as far as cargo deliveries and all that go, cram as much shit as you can into a truck and drop it off. You'll knock those out in no time. It was like the time deliveries or the miscellaneous deliveries where you actually had to go find something and then bring it back. Those are the ones that would be a little trickier.
Sure.
Because
you're spending time looking for the thing. And
and then you'd have to go off on foot, or maybe even run into mules or terrorists or something like that. So then you're getting shot at all the time. And
it's a bad time.
Yeah. So those were, I was trying to find ways to narrow that down. And I didn't think, because everything I was trying to do was in that main central area. And I thought, well, let's go back east, because I remember doing some time deliveries. And that was really the one thing that was winding me down. And some of these other time deliveries, my brain couldn't wrap around it. Like there was this one that said, get these frozen fish up to these 2 mountain areas. And I was like, easy, done.
Right.
And I took a truck halfway up because they're very temperature sensitive. And I thought,
yeah, they're frozen.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, but if I get into the mountains, then it shouldn't matter because it's a chilled delivery, right?
Yeah, it's like freaking cold, right?
Yeah, no. As soon as I took my zip line up through the mountains, for some reason they were still being damaged due to high temperatures. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. So even before I got them to where they needed to go, they were destroyed.
They were already
or beyond where it needed to be to get that S ranking. So I was like, you know what? Screw it.
Yeah.
So I went back east and I was like, let's see what's over here, because I know there were some there. And sure enough, there were just enough to get me by. So all I had to do was zip to one, to another, to another, to another, and then boom, done. I was complete. And
nice.
I knocked it out. And now I can move on with the story.
Everyone got their fish.
Yep. So to hell with those fish. And,
right? Sorry about it.
So I won't say for sure if I will have beaten the game by next week, but I'd say I probably got... I won't be much longer. As soon as I focus back on the story, I'll knock it out, because discovering things and doing all these side quests, that's where I get distracted. And I'm like, oh, I got to go do that. Oh, I got to go do that. And once I'm back on the story, I'll knock that out. No problem.
Nice. Excellent.
So maybe another week or two, and then I can move on to something new.
I'll still be trying to figure out how to get filtered water, so it's fine. Yeah. Maybe not. Who knows? Excellent.
So what you got in the way of news?
We got a little bit of our work cut out for us today. We had a kind of a busy week for the old games. I figured I'd just start off with a couple little quick hits. Remember quick hits?
I do.
We did that, yeah. So just a few things that I knew we could breeze past. But of course, what's another week without another delay, right?
Sure.
So for people who were looking forward to the Last of Us Part 1 on PC, it did get pushed out at least only a couple of weeks. So it was supposed to be March 3rd. Now they're looking at March 28th for the release date. Little extra polish, bells, whistles, all that stuff that they should have figured out before they gave us a date.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. My biggest beef with companies these days. Just keep a lid on it until you know.
Yeah.
Like for realsies know that you're in the stretch.
Like
home stretch.
Like a certain... Well, we'll probably talk about it later.
But like for realsies, like that way. And then this I just found interesting because you don't really hear about Valve doing any kind of developing anymore, outside of like hardware stuff they've been doing. But they're making patches for coming up in 2023 for Team Fortress 2. It's been out forever. You don't hear a ton of development, like I said, on the Valve side. So I was like, well, this is kind of fun, especially for a 15-year-old game at this point. But it continues to be one of the most played ones on Steam, right, after all of this time. So maybe Valve was like, okay, you stuck around long enough. We give you new content now. We give you new things. We'll help it out. So I don't know if you play the game. There you go. I just thought it was kind of fun after all of this time that they're going to go back and do some developing on it. Their stuff's usually fun. I mean, why not? So big stuff, of course. Oof. Like, I think just this Microsoft acquisition is just it. Well, and we kind of knew it was going to be rough sailing when we first started talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're like, this is pretty huge. You already bought quite a bit. You know, my only hope early on, I think, was just, well, will the people who work for Activision Blizzard be treated better? Like, I'm trying to, parse it out because I'm not a huge fan of one thing owning all the things personally.
Right. No, I get it.
But so we had the UK regulators are the ones mostly in the news this time. As we know, it's a global thing. So they got to go through a lot of different hoops, not just the stateside, but the UK regulators with the CMA or Competitions and Markets Authority have been the ones in the news because they're not huge fan of them buying all the things either.
Figures.
Yeah. So they investigated for about 5 months and found that the deal could result in higher prices, fewer choices, and less innovation for UK gamers. I mean, I've been saying that forever with all of these large ass companies. Like, just imagine the cool stuff we would have if we didn't have monopolies like this. We would have such cooler stuff, guys. I'm telling you, if we didn't have these large companies that just people couldn't break through because you've already got all the money. You've already established yourself. You can screw over the little guy. So if we're keeping count, the states, European Union, and the UK right now have published objections to the deal. So that's 3. Count of 3 we're at so far. The CMA suggests that a partial divestiture of Activision Blizzard could be another solution that it would consider. So it looks like they might consider to play ball if a couple of these or one of were to happen.
Right.
So if they either sell off parts of the business that deals with Call of Duty, because that's massive.
Yeah,
and
right.
cross platforms. So that sell Call of Duty, then we might consider it. Or selling off the Activision segment of Activision Blizzard. So having them kind of split them all up so you're not owning all the thing. Or, and this one, I'm like, what would be even the point? Selling off both Activision and the Blizzard segments. So, like, isn't that the segments?
I thought, yeah.
So, in other words, don't buy and you're okay with it is kind of what I took it. Now, if I'm misunderstanding it, but when I was reading the points that they went through, like, if you'd consider this, this, or this, we'll consider maybe making through the deal. But when I got to that last point, I'm like, so don't buy it?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Explain it to me if I'm misunderstanding that, siblings, but to me it just seemed like that just meant don't buy it.
This sounds like a job for Deva.
Deva! What does that mean? I mean, to me it just seems like just don't allow it all together, no merging happens, and we're happy. They did acknowledge that when Microsoft said they were committed to keeping Call of Duty on all platforms, like on PlayStation, PC, Nintendo Switch, that they may consider this as part of the remedy. I don't know, but once a more structured solution, like removing one of the bigger parts of the deal. So I guess get rid of Activision, get rid of Blizzard, get rid of both. I don't. The CMA is now inviting responses from their interested parties to list its remedies by February 22nd and responses to its provisional findings by March 1st. So the CMA's final report will be due by the 26th of April. And I guess that's when they're going to be like, we're done looking into this. Give me your proposals, what you plan to do. We'll look this over and then we'll decide if we like it or not and move forward.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, yeah. I kind of agree. I feel like I don't want, because they'll say now, and this is how it always happens in capitalism. They'll say now, we're not going to up the prices. We're not going to take it away from consoles. We're not. Give them about 5-10 years out.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it all starts to hit, because they've been established. They've kept it. Who you going to go to now? Because we own them all. And yeah, so I think early on, like I said, I just really wanted the Activision Blizzard employees to be taken better care of.
Mm-hmm.
If that meant, I guess, this had to happen, then fine. But I'm not a huge fan of one place owning all the things either.
No. And I don't really know what any of the breaking it apart or sell. They're not going to sell anything. They don't want to break it up. They want all of it. So, I mean, all the propositions or proposals that they've kind of thrown out there, they're not going to bite.
Yeah, like I don't know which would be more so than the other, or if one's more valuable than the other. I mean, I don't know. Microsoft just keeps saying they're going to protect Call of Duty on all platforms.
But as you said, give it time.
Give it time.
Because they will. Because they'll be like, well, you see, the costs have increased, and we don't know what more to do, because we're backs against the wall. Can't do anything about it.
So we have to raise the cost and lay people off so we can keep going. That's what we have to do. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we get a $12 billion bonus check.
Right. Right. Warren, come on. Remember? Let's cut that out. So I don't know. It's just going to be a wait and see situation, because like I don't know if they will consider parceling it out like that, or if they even have a choice in the matter. So they're just gonna, I guess, keep looking it over. Another point that I saw in there too is whether the UK regulators were looking at how it would impact cloud gaming services, supplies of consoles, which is another thing to think of if you're pushing out more for one maybe than the other, which would make you want to lean towards an Xbox as opposed to Sony, which we know Sony's been finally chiming in as well, and trying to put in their 2 cents to block the deal, which, I mean, what do you do? I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't know what you do. Like, it makes sense to me. So I don't, And then of course, Bobby Kotick decided to chime in about how they're sabotaging the deal. I'm like, you know what? You sit down.
Yeah. Shut up.
We're not talking to you about this. So if you want to see his, fucking response about, all of that, we can post it, or you can come into our Discord where it was posted as well. But just like sit down.
Also,
even if you're right, Bobby, I don't want to hear from you right now. So just get to talk in this conversation.
Also, Sony is sabotaging the whole deal. If you didn't catch that, how, why, who, I don't know. But
yeah, when it's like the FTC blocking the deal, or the CMA out of, the UK blocking, I mean, who knows? Sony could be writing little letters. They're talking about supposedly that one of the corporate VPs too has been trying to get a hold of some Sony execs and supposedly not returning calls, or, ghosting each other. I don't know. I'm like, all of that just sounds like y'all's feelings getting hurt. You gotta figure out what you need to do. But I would totally see that happening.
No, I mean, I'm not going to put it past
like
them.
some VP going, I'm not talking to him. You're trying to buy all the games. Want to make it, I don't know, whatever. When large companies start fighting, I'm just like, you go ahead. But then Nintendo Direct, let's do it. We had quite a bit coming out from that, it looked like. Let me get to my list here, because I was like, I'm not gonna write all of these down. There's no way. But we had some fun reveals. I think it was a pretty fun Nintendo Direct. Maybe we'll start with the not so fun news. Like, get that out of the way. Rip wallets. $70 price tag coming up on Switch games. I did hear them say Tears of the Kingdom, so I'm gonna go with Tears.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like I actually heard someone actually say Tears this time, so Thank you to whomever that was speaking in the video. You cleared up my confusion because I wasn't sure.
Which does sound like a better name, because Tears of a
Right.
Kingdom is like, Tears of a Kingdom sounds more elegant, more Zelda-esque.
Yeah, it does.
So.
It does. More Zelda-like.
Mhm.
But yeah, it looks like that price tag is going to get slapped on future Switch games. Tears of the Kingdom, of course, being the first one. Which, I mean, I don't know how to justify. I don't want to get into fights with Nintendo people. Can you justify that price tag with Nintendo Switch? Can we?
I don't really feel like you can.
I mean,
genuinely. Because they are not the high-end games that you find on Xbox and Sony.
And
I mean,
this has nothing
even those.
to do with like the quality of the story or how the game plays or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. I guess I was more looking at it too of, I don't know. In this day and age with digital, I just I have a really hard time with you charging, exorbitant prices for nothing I'm receiving physically. I don't know.
And furthermore, the price of that game will hardly go down. Nintendo rarely discounts their big titles.
Sure. Indie stuff I see
Sure.
all the time on there for pennies and stuff. Sure.
But it's like, do you want Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a game that's been out for how many years now? 5?
Oh God, I don't know. At
Let's
least.
say 5. It sounds good. So do you want that game right now? Now, while these other games have been out for 5 years and they're discounted to maybe like $10 or whatever, you get the special price of $49.99, maybe, if we're being generous. Otherwise, you're still going to have to pay the $59.99 because, hey, we can't discount anything.
Nope.
Even
But
though everybody else does it.
Sure. And I know initially a lot of it too is like to do with the market, right? So that would really hurt brick and mortar institutions that sell your physical goods if we could just go online and buy the digital for $20 less. So I could see competition wise or whatever you wanted to kind of keep that leveled out. I don't know. You're talking to somebody who doesn't buy day one games like that anyway, because screw your price tag. You're going to have it on sale in a month or two. And most of the time, you have to wait for several patches for it to be good anyway. So I just feel like in the AAA space, it's a rare occasion for me to hop on it day one.
Yeah.
I got my indie backlog that will probably take me until I die, to get through. So I don't know, $70. We all saw it coming. We heard the murmur starting years ago. It's all finally starting to catch up. And I mean, in all honesty, I guess if you've got your competitors that are charging that price,
Sure.
why wouldn't you join in? I don't know. Why wouldn't you join in?
But you felt like they would have had an opportunity to just be like, hey, we're still only at 60. Come on over.
True.
You got the
That
cheaper
too.
console. You got the cheaper games.
I feel like another Nintendo console. I don't know why. I just feel like something must be building up for that Pro we thought we'd hear about, or that 2. I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know. But you got a longer look at Tears of the Kingdom. So longer look at running through Hyrule and doing all, So if you're excited for it, that must have been a fun, 12 minutes? It was a pretty decent look. And looking at a May 12th release date. So not even that far away.
I predict.
You? What's
I
that?
predict it will be delayed.
Oh, wow.
Now,
That's just the way of life.
Nintendo normally doesn't. They're usually good about hitting their release dates, but with this, gonna go ahead and predict it's gonna get delayed.
I feel like that is the trend now over the last several years. I understood why it was happening initially, and I guess we're just abusing that or just taking too long to get back into a healthier way of doing business. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Let's see. Moving on, though. One I'm sure you were excited about, Metroid Prime Remastered. Out.
This was the game I was talking about. We didn't hear
Yeah.
anything about this. We heard rumors, and then they were just like, available now. And I was like, dude, thank you.
Like, what a wonderful thing to be getting excited for, and then to be like, wait, I can just go now?
I can go now?
Yeah. That's what I liked about that Hi-Fi Rush a couple weeks back, too.
Mhm.
It was just like, oh, this looks... All right.
Yeah.
I can go play it right now. Gotcha.
I mean, think about it. Think about it. You're already excited in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you hear now,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, wallet. And you
Right.
will
What do
go
I do? What do I do? Yeah.
So
yeah, you do.
if more game developers or publishers will do this, kind of keep it quiet, then release the trailer and be like, you can buy it now. You'll have them in the palm of your hands.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? I understand, I guess, if you're wanting to get hype up, you're maybe trying to raise money for it or whatever you got to do. But I still feel like I said, Bethesda used to do it best. We didn't hear about that crap till about within a 6-month window of it releasing, and then bam. Like, to me, fine.
But think
6
about
months.
it. How much more hype can you get than after you saw the trailer?
Right. Because you're usually right there.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm ready.
You're like, oh my God, I can't wait. And then they're just like, oh, wait? No. Now. And you're like, so you're already hyped on the adrenaline rush because you're so excited for this thing that you want to play, and they're just like, you can play it now, and you'll be like, oh my God, I want to play it now.
Yep, and you're pumping in that info, you're handing over that money. I agree with it. I think more should do it. Just do it. Just do it. We'll love you. So Metroid Prime Remaster is out for the Switch. Enhanced version of the GameCube game has HD. Looks like they did the dual sticks now, of course, to make it make sense for the Switch console. Digital was out now. The only thing that I saw was like if you wanted the physical version, that releases on February 22nd.
Right.
But outside of that, how excited were you though?
I mean, I did.
I saw this one and I immediately thought of you.
I played, in fact, I owned all 3 Metroid Prime. I think the first 2 came out on the GameCube, 3 came out on the Wii. And I remember 3 being really solid because not only just the Wii controls, but they really enhanced everything and just finally hit their groove. So I'm really interested in playing this. I saw like a graphics comparison because when I watched the trailer, I was like, oh yeah, like I could remember it, but I didn't have any kind of recollection because it's been
a while.
It's been a while.
20 years.
So I looked back at it and I was like, oh man, I wonder how it does compare because it looked familiar, but nothing about it stood out like, oh my God, look at how they've improved everything. It was just like, oh yeah. And then I saw the comparison. I was like, oh wow. Yeah, they really did a polished job on this. But again, it's a GameCube game, so sure.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we got a lot more pixels and stuff we can play with now, and
so
all of that. Yeah,
I'm intrigued. I want to go play it. When I will is anybody's guess, but
sure.
I would like to play it again because I remember that series and I had a lot of fun with it.
Good, yay! Well, there you go. I can't wait to see or hear what you think because I mean, it's probably not going to be one for me. It's always they look too brutal, but. And then they also announced Nintendo Switch Online is getting a Game Boy and GBA Advance games for a tiered service, it looked like. So your base service version will include support visual Game Boy games, Game Boy Pocket, and Game Boy Color. Look like filters. So I don't know if it was just to make it look like it was from back in the day. I understood that correctly, right?
Yeah, because I had that same thought too when they were showing some of the games. Because one of my all-time favorite Game Boy games that I played many times over was Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, and there was just something about it. I mean, I enjoyed the first one, but this one just had an extra element to it that was just so much fun. Like I loved the music, I loved the way it was all set up, and granted, for a Game Boy game. It's hard to be a little excited about, but there was something about this one they actually put the effort in. It was like, oh man, this is kind of really solid entry.
Yeah.
And I think some of the first shots they were showing, not of just that, but of like Kirby, it had that green Game Boy filtered. I was like, am I going to have to look at that? And they were like, no, you can put filters on. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to look at that.
Right. Well, when we had nothing else to look at, that green on black was like, okay, you know. I mean, I played many a Paperboy on the regular Game Boy.
Yeah.
Just bloop, doot, 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 doot,
bloop,
bloop, doot, doot, doot.
So I won't say that I'm disappointed in any of their offerings, but I was surprised that some games they didn't have on the service, because you'd think your initial Game Boy games would be Pokemon games.
I was feeling like it seemed a little light there when I was looking through the lineup. Because, I mean, while they did your Tetris, got your Super Mario Land 2, The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, Gargoyle Quest, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, Wario Land. Yeah, no Pokemon on that tier that I could, or any of them, actually.
However, I would like to posit that there might be a reason. Later. And I'm thinking, yes, later. And what if they introduce an online trading service? So you could still trade with your friends just online. So maybe add like an extra element in there. So if you had a Pokemon that I had that I wanted, and you vice versa,
sure,
just be like
the regular card game in life.
But you don't have to do the cable and whatnot. So maybe they're trying to figure out how they can incorporate some online trading service, and that way you can still kind of play it like you normally do.
Sure. And maybe to entice people later on. You won't get everyone initially, and then what if I want to unsubscribe now because I'm not getting anything I want, and then but Pokemon's coming out. Crap. Okay, keep taking my money. Yeah.
They do.
Like they do. Yep. I mean, it's kind of smart if you want to keep the money coming in, Then it seemed like you could move up into Expansion Pass, which you'll get the previously mentioned, and then adding games like Super Mario Brothers 3, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Legend of Zelda, and I saw F-Zero, which, by the way, I used to play the crap out of that on the N64. So I was like, ooh, I wonder if I should leave it ephemeral. Or, if you go back to a thing and then I don't know if I want to kill it. Who knows? It might still be amazing. But when I saw that, I used to play the crap out of that game. So I would doubt I would do the whole service for the one game.
Sure.
That clearly, my brain went to. But that one definitely hit a nostalgia bump for me when I was reading. I was like, aw, yeah.
I'll definitely give a shout out to the Zelda game that they put on there, the Minish Cap. That's one that I feel like gets... I won't say dismissed, but it's forgotten. Because when normally people talk about Game Boy Zelda, they talk about Link's Awakening, but no one remembers the Minish Cap. It's a really fun game. I remember playing it, I think I had it on the 3DS when they were allowing Game Boy Advance games or something like that. Or maybe I actually had because you could put in Game Boy Advance games on the DS.
I didn't have a lot of handhelds. So I don't know.
So I think you could do that. In any case, I played it. I remember playing it at some point and had a lot of fun with it. So I recommend that if you've never played it. So definitely a good get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like there's definitely some good stuff going on in there. Splatoon 3, they announced about their expansion pass. Getting some more content there if you like it. And I never played these either or anything, but Pikmin 4, I noticed they were talking about, and you can ride a little tiny space dog.
I was a little excited about that. Yeah. I mean, I really loved the first one because that one came out on the GameCube, I believe. I think that was one of their launch titles.
I'm sure I wrote it
down. I cannot remember for the life of me if I played 2 or 3. And I don't know why I missed them. But I don't have any memory of playing them. First one, absolutely. I remember playing to death, but I've always wanted to go back and play them, and I just keep forgetting about them. And then I'm seeing this one, I'm like, oh my God, it just looks really interesting. A lot of the just everything visually looks amazing. They've added some new mechanics to it, so hopefully I'll get around to playing it.
Sure. Yeah. But that backlog, though.
I enjoyed Pikmin. I recommend them.
Well, you got some time. It looked like they were saying a July 21st is the date they're aiming for at this time. So you got a little time, I guess, to clear some games out before you get to there.
Hopefully.
Probably add 12 more before it happens. Because it's how life is. It's just how life is. But then outside of that, it looked like there was just some more like run throughs of some other games that'll be releasing. They didn't all look Switch specific because like when they were talking about like the Dead Cells, Castlevania getting March 6th, I know that's not just a Switch exclusive because I play it on PC. The Hubs has been playing it on PlayStation, but I'm still excited for that one though. I have to say, like, I don't know that I've seen a mashup come together that was just totally that makes sense, beautiful, this is what needs to happen. And the team is just good peoples. They're just good people. So so anything from the direct that I didn't mention that you wanted to talk about?
I'm trying to remember because a lot of what you mentioned were some of the bigger highlights that I remember. Yeah. But let me look over because I don't remember anything that just was like, oh my God, that we didn't talk about already.
Like, I mean, they did announce about Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp is coming out in April. I never played those a lot either, so I wasn't, or, you know, it wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the big thing there, too, is just because that developing team, where they're located and having a hard time getting things going, because I believe they were out of Ukraine. So, completely understandable.
Yeah.
Why, if that's where you're at, things are getting delayed and other things are definitely more important going on around you. But yeah.
Let me see. Here we go. No. Oh, yeah. This was all right. This is what they didn't give us a whole lot to go off of, so I was a little disappointed at that. But I was just excited in the prospect that we're actually getting a Professor Layton game on a Switch. So all they did was pretty much announce a new title, but that's it. But I'm excited. I'm a huge fan of that
Switch.
Series. Yeah. And we're getting it on Switch, not a handheld. So you could really go out on all their animated visuals and whatnot. So
sure. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, I know that there are probably games on here that other people want to play, like Octopath Traveler.
Right.
Or something, but
Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe,
Disney Illusion Island.
Yeah, who knows?
Which does not seem like it has the aesthetic trying to lure in kids, but it does not seem like a game what I would consider kids being able to play 4-player together. It feels like you need some sort of cooperation. Maybe it's, I don't know. I could be underestimating children.
Watch it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Some of them I was just like, nah, you know, and you kind of go back a little faster. I never get to watch any of these things live because I'm always working when it's happening. So
I mean, when I was watching it, I was sitting there thinking, this reminded me of that time that we all played that demo of Guacamelee 2 at PAX, and I left everybody behind.
We just kept getting drug behind Steven.
Because I was like, come on, let's go.
Yep. You'd get there faster, and
I couldn't help it.
Make the next page happen, and then whoop, we would just bloop right over there. And I'm like, well, he's got this.
I'm sorry, it's how I play. Everybody's running slower.
It had been too long since I've had to share a screen too. I kept forgetting which character was mine. It was a mess. Right. You needed to be taking me through.
Anyway, but yeah, nothing else really stood out. So
yeah, excellent. Well, then the only other thing that I saw that I kind of wanted to chat with you about, because I just think it's kind of impressive how they've managed to build themselves up like this. But Remedy was talking this week about planning to release a new game each year from now on. Made me a little nervous because I'm like,
didn't we talk about this plan?
Companies that seem to keep doing this with Remedy?
No, just another studio that thought their worst case scenario was 2 games a year, and you're like, I don't think that's possible, dude, but all right.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have no idea, but I mean, they've definitely grown exponentially since they've been around, I think way back in 95. So Alan Wake 2 looks to be maybe their first of that cycle, so once that comes out, we should be paying attention, I guess, for a new one each year. But they have, let's see, hold on. I was trying to find the one because I didn't know that I was aware that they were making a Control spin-off game. I knew we were getting Control 2. But I saw that in there that there's a Control spinoff game called Code Name Condor, which is supposed to be a bigger budget Control game. Or wait, I'm sorry. And then a bigger budget one known as Code Name Heron. So it's like, I think they're staying in this universe is what it kind of feels like. Because ever since I learned that, that Alan Wake and Control are in the same universe, which again still kind of blew my mind because I know it's acting and you can split them up. But then I was like, well, Matthew Peretta was the voice, but then he's also the doctor in Control, Dr. Darling. Like, what do I,
Yeah.
So my mind was like, how do I make it make sense? But it, so they also have a service-based co-op multiplayer game codenamed Vanguard, which it partnered with Tencent, getting that Tencent money.
Yeah.
So it has 5 AAA games in development right now. They grew. I mean, at least you want to talk about, I guess, job creation, because they did go on to say that they had a 32% profit margin increase. So they were able to exponentially increase the size of their studios, especially from 2020 to 2021, and then double twice as amount of that from 21 to 22. So I'm hoping... Just keep taking care of your people. Don't start crunching. Don't turn into those garbage other ones that we're seeing right now. And let's see what you got, I guess. I enjoyed those games. I'm still waiting for Alan Wake 2, or at least waiting to watch it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not going to be brave enough to play it. It's too much. But, I like them. So it was kind of exciting to see. But I was definitely nervous also because... when you're telling me you want to push a game out that quickly, I thought you were doing pretty good every 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
I feel like that's these days really good. We're way past the 32 bits pushing games out in 4 or 5 months. Well past that. So yeah, keep on growing. Just please don't turn into a garbage company. And if you are already, I missed it. And then I guess I'll cry about it later, like I do with some of my other ones, because we just can't know. But outside of that, that's all I got for you.
All right.
That's all I saw that caught my eye this week. Unless there's more for you or
no,
whatever we're doing.
I
go into this pod blind too, you guys. I don't know what's going on.
Well, everyone is probably very confused and curious if they saw the icon or even the title of this episode, because we're doing something different, and different in a sense of I am telling a story as usual, but it's the topic in which I'm covering. May not seem like the typical topic that I would go down a rabbit hole for, but I did. Because yesterday was the thing. So I thought, what better way to be kind of, what do you call it? Where the synergy, where you got and you're trying to keep with the thing that's going on.
With the pop culture.
Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about football.
Woo!
Soccer's American
football,
cousin.
Or the rest of the world.
No, American football.
American football.
American.
Pigskin.
So, football, if you didn't know, is a definite cause of broken televisions, public intoxication, and constipation. Why do I say constipation? Well, we all know how much cheese you ate last night during the game, so don't deny it. Now, it is possible that some of our audience is recovering from last night's big sports ball event, Super Bowl 57 or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
In
Tucson, Arizona. I know that.
And
wait, we weren't talking about that on the
We weren't. And you may be shouting at your phone right now saying, Steven, you hate sports. You've said as much many times on this podcast. Why in God's name are you talking about football?
Yeah.
Well, my response to you is, first, I can't hear you shouting, so knock it off.
Okay.
People think you've gone mad shouting at your phone. Of course, in this day and age, who knows? Yeah. Secondly, as I've also mentioned on the show before, it's getting difficult for me to find things to talk about on the show. So when I find something with some substance, I kind of latch on to it. And then I kind of see where it goes. And seeing as how big sports ball game happened last night between, what was it, the Pottsville Maroons and the Kansas City Blues.
Nailed it.
Yeah, it happened. I don't know who won.
No.
I thought, what better time than now to talk about everyone's favorite football game series, Madden.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. I've gone completely mad. But you're only half right. I'm completely...
You're Madden.
Exactly. I'm Madden. Anyway, now, let's head back to one of my favorite decades, the 70s. Why? I don't know. I was born at the ass end of them. I don't remember. Anyway, here we find... By the way, did you know I found out that I am classified as a Zennial?
What?
It is a cross between a Gen Xer and a Millennial. Because I follow...
Can they just leave us alone?
I know. But somewhere there's like from 77 to 83, they say you're like one of the last generations to grow up without technology, but you also kind of grew into technology. And I don't know.
Yeah, I've been swallowed into so many different ones at this point that I'm just like, you know what? If you expect me to be really able to relate to someone born in the mid to late 90s, then I don't know what you're drinking. Because that's a huge gap to understand what kids went through. Yeah. I think I'm the last one who was like shoved outside. I was the last latchkey kid.
But at least we remember those times where it was like, get outside. It's like, but
I don't
out.
want to see you until it's dinner time. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's like the inside was grown-up area and you were just like not allowed.
Just get out from underfoot. I don't care what you do.
Didn't matter how hot or how cold it was outside. Nope. Your ass was outside.
You can handle it and go away. Until,
please come in, please. No.
Nope.
Getting on everyone's nerves. Anyway, the 70s. In the 70s, we find a young teenager attempting to create his very own version of the Stratomatic Pro football game. Now, once again, I can hear 99% of our audience thinking, what the fuck is that? Well, firstly, yes, I read your thoughts, because that's how it works. And secondly, shouting out loud is no good, so just think it, and then I'll hear it. Secondly, the Stratomatic Pro football game was a tabletop board game that was first produced in 1968. The game is a statistically based sports ball game that simulates the play of American football by using the player statistics, which are then analyzed and converted into numerical results, which reflect each player's production for a given year. These numerical results are placed on a set of cards, with each team having its own set. In addition, a team's defensive ratings for a season are then converted into card data that determines how many yards may be gained against that defense. Make sense?
Yeah. It sounds like digit strategy card game.
It sounds like nerd game, but
yeah, like it's just math.
It doesn't seem like something a actual football player would or football lover would enjoy, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It does kind of sound like all of those pools that they'll put in.
Oh, yeah. The fantasy football or whatever.
Fantasy, there you go. Yeah, maybe something sort of like that. Because I know they're always talking stats and can I have your player, blah, blah, blah.
This is true. Maybe
So maybe it was the early days of that.
Sure. Okay, so I'm underestimating the football players of that time. I don't want to give a lot of credit to one.
Yeah, I was going to say of that time when we didn't have all this other stuff. Yeah.
But anyway, if it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. I'm just going to move along. Anyway, so this teenager made a copy of this game that he loved. He was trying to put his own spin on it. And then, because he was market-minded, he decided he was just going to sell it and make some serious bank, ripping off this other game. And he was a teenager, so don't forget that. So, alas, his idea was a failure, and it made no money, which sounds really familiar if you think about it. Someone stealing an idea and then don't make it work, and then... Anyway, it'll come to me. Apparently, the game he made was too complex. If it wasn't complex before, how did you make it more complex than it already was?
Oh, wow.
Amazing. Now, To say it was too complex, keep in mind, too complex for the human mind. He knew that something could possibly figure it out later on because there were these little things he was starting to hear about called computers. And they seemed to be pretty, smart and fast and doing calculations and whatnot. So he hung on to this idea, knowing that one day he was going to be able to screw over millions of people for money. Then he'd show them. That teenager who nobody liked turned out to be Trip Hawkins. And now you know the rest of the story. Unless you don't know who Trip Hawkins is. He is the founder of EA.
Yeah.
And that should tell you plenty. Now.
Well, I mean, we all know where the sports ball games ended up, so.
Hawkins went to Harvard, where he began working on this football simulator using the ideas from his stolen concept. The program is said to have predicted the winner and score of the 1974 Super Bowl. Or at least come damn close.
It did.
Okay. But we're taking a thief at his word, so you be the judge.
Sure.
Now, a mere 8 years later, Hawkins founded EA, or Electronic Arts, for those who don't know what that means. You should, but they don't really say it anymore. It's funny.
That's true. EA, challenge everything.
EA Sport. Anyway, but he created or founded EA for the sole purpose of creating computerized versions of the Stratomatic games in which he was trying to copy. But while simulated football is all well and good, he needed a name to really sell it, because no one wants to play football game. You want
with cards.
You want something like, what was that one guy? I don't remember. There was a game in the NES days. I don't remember the guy's name.
Oh, like for sports?
Yeah, it was like he had his name on it, and it was like, hey, this guy's football, and you're like, oh wow, and I don't remember his name. I remember the game. I played it, but I didn't care. Anyway, so I'm going off the tangent. So Tripp went to the first and only person on his list of potential gets, Joe the Schmo Montana. He was Tripp's all-time favorite football player, and he knew he would be the right face to sell EA football. Mm-hmm. However, Tripp did not do his due diligence, or he didn't care. I'm inclined to think the latter. For you see, Montana had already had an endorsement deal with another garbage company, Atari. So when he went to his... He decided then he would just write another name on this list, and that would be his second choice, of former NFL quarterback and California Golden Bears coach Joe Kapp. Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, you know who that is.
I do.
Uh-huh. I don't know who he is either. So
look at his face real quick, because I know. I just wanted to remind you.
Just
for
that guy. So
apparently with the Vikings. There you go.
Sure. Anyway, I don't know who he is, but some people know all the actors and the directors in the world. Some people know all the sports ballers. So there's somebody out there who's like, oh yeah, Joe Kapp, sure. And I'm like, I'm
gonna let you like your thing. You do it.
But apparently it wasn't meant to be, as old Joe Kapp was hip to this idea, and he wanted royalties. But Tripp wasn't about to pay anybody royalties for someone's name and likeness. I mean, come on, get real. So
I'm only using you to make the money.
Yeah, but we can't.
Fair.
You're missing the point.
Right.
Royalties. We haven't even made a game yet. So eventually, Hawkins. I keep wanting to put a G in there. It's Hawkins, Hawkins. So if I throw the G in there, I apologize. It's Hawkins, like the Stranger Things town. Wasn't that Hawkins?
I think, isn't that?
Or was that Hawkins?
See, I think Stranger Things was Hawkins, which is where I think.
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying. There's no G in this man's name. The hell with it. Eventually.
We'll just say Trip.
Sure.
Trip-papa.
Trip-papa. So eventually, Tripp decided to approach John Madden, with whom he met on a 2-day-long train trip along with fellow game producer Joe Ybarra. Now,
I know that name.
yeah, you should. I don't remember what he does, but I knew the name when I saw it. I was like, yeah, that guy. So Hawkins and Ybarra pitched the idea of a sophisticated football computer simulator to Madden, who knew absolutely dick about computers. So they tried
Just
to...
like I heard of a thing.
Exactly. It was fairly new. So they would try to explain the game that they wanted to make as this very accurate simulation of football. So Madden kind of thought, so it'd be like a tool to teach football, and then you could test plays, and then people could see how you play football. And they're like, yeah. So
Yeah.
it would do all the things that football does, and we just put the stats in it, and then it's football.
Yeah.
And he's like,
yeah.
So you want to make I got it. So he understood, and he was just like, all right, so I'm going to explain it, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about football, and then you can put that into your game. So for 2 days and nights, they talked about football. They learned every little thing about football from Madden, and they jotted down notes. And this seemed like it would be a done deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, the team over at EA, as they were beginning to make their game, Madden was very aware of the game that they were explaining.
Mm-hmm.
So he insisted on one very important thing before he decided to endorse the title. This had to be accurate. No cut corners. No taking anything out. If you were making a football game with my name on it, this better be football.
Sure. Okay.
And Ybarra was like, okay. Because there was an issue with that caveat. Because most home computers at the time, they were limited on what they could do, and being accurate to the game meant 11 players on each team on the field. And Ybarra knew that that was not going to be possible at this point in time. So like, shit. So
That's
if we
more
want
space than we got.
Yeah. So if you wanted Madden, you had to have the players. You had to have everything be football. So to make this happen, Ybarra asked, and this just seems like this would have killed a studio immediately, but they were passionate, I'll give them that. He asked for 3 years to get this figured out. And then they promise they will have an accurate football game. So Madden agreed. He took $100,000 in advance for royalties, or against royalties, excuse me.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. He took an advance against royalties. However, over the next few years, he was kind of wondering if the game was ever going to happen, because he never got updates. He was just like, I got money for it, but I don't see this thing with my name on it, so I guess it's happening, or maybe it's not happening. I don't know. So he thought for...
I got my money, I guess.
Yeah, he thought for a while that it just wasn't going to happen. But he didn't understand the technical limitations. He just thought they gave up. So he was just like, all right, well, that's sad, but at least I got money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
EA, trying to figure this out, decided to bring in some help to develop their game. They first hired Bethesda to work on the game, since they had worked on their own football game, Gridiron. But unfortunately for EA, they didn't keep their end of the bargain in which they signed them. So Bethesda got pissed and sued the company because they didn't meet their end of the contractual agreement, which was that they were supposed to release some of their games that they had also produced, like Gridiron, and EA didn't.
What?
So they went halfway through the production and was like, you know what? Fuck you, we're out. So they got the game half done, which added yet another delay to the game, but the company decided to persist. But after 4 years of development, John Madden Football was released on the Apple II in 1988. The game's initial release did fairly well, but Ybarra's concerns about the hardware and what it could handle did come to fruition as the game ran relatively slow. So it was...
Oh, God. And could you imagine?
Oh, God, no. I mean...
Well, I mean, we can, but now.
Yeah, but we never played it. So for those who were just super pumped and then had to sit there and go, oh my God, please.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were
10 minutes later and your thing moved.
pulling their hair out.
Right.
But it was enough to keep EA going, which is unfortunate because we see what EA has turned into. And the game series itself, I don't know if you know this, it has done nothing but ruin lives.
Really?
Okay, I know that might seem like a hard left turn, but I intend to prove it to you here today. And we start with the man himself, John Madden. Now, whether you know it or not, his decision here was possibly the origin of a curse. Now, whether that's true or not is anybody's guess. I'm just putting it out there. It seems very plausible because the success of the game put John Madden into the position of owning unlimited stock options with EA when it went public in 1989. But Madden, oh man, he did not buy a single option. And he regretted that move, calling it the dumbest thing I ever did in my life. Because imagine the money that man would have been rolling in.
Yeah.
But I could be blowing things out of proportion. But I posit 10 years later, San Francisco 49ers running back Garrison Hurst, this player that we all know, became the first NFL player to grace the cover of a Madden video game. Before that, it was just Madden, just doing his whatever his little poses were. But you see, in a twist of fate, if you will, if you pardon the pun, almost immediately after the game's release, Hurst suffered a broken ankle during a game with the Atlanta Falcons, which had to be operated on.
Oh, no.
That surgery led to complications, which led to one of his foot bones dying.
How?
Who knows?
Okay, sorry, that's probably not the point, but...
But because of that, he subsequently missed the next 2 seasons of football so he could recover.
Yeah.
And I know you're thinking, all right, well, that's just one. That's just one. The following year, Detroit Lions running back Barry Sanders was set to be featured on the cover of Madden NFL 2000. However, weeks after that announcement, Sanders announced his retirement from the league, which people were like, what?
What?
EA quickly filled that void with Green Bay running back Dorsey Levens. But wouldn't you know it, Levens was also injured, which restricted his movement as a player. And that led to the worst record the Packers had seen since Brett Favre was quarterback. Yeah, I said it. Favre. And that stink on the team led to Levens being discharged in 2001.
Jeez.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah.
The following year, Tennessee Titans running back Eddie George was on the cover of Madden 2001. Titans were in the best possible place, best teams in the country. They were on their way.
I remember that Super Bowl.
That's right. This was going to be a record-breaking season. But because his mug was on the cover of that game, he botched a pass in the 4th quarter of a playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens, and their season ended right then and there. Proof! The curse is real.
It is a real thing.
Now, I know what you're saying. There's skeptics out there right now going, come on, you don't believe that. You don't believe that. You're blowing smoke. Allow me to continue. 2002, Minnesota Vikings. Dante Culpepper on the cover. Months later, suffered a knee injury, took him out of the rest of the season, ruining him as a player going forward. 2003, St. Louis Rams, Marshall Faulk featured on the cover. Faulk was a
Yep.
Super Bowl champ, multi-award winning Offensive Player of the Year, held to multiple records, rushing, receiving.
Freaking fast,
Just
man.
amazing. Cover appearance, his performance declined. He eventually left the league altogether due to a knee surgery. 2004, Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Vick. Need I say more? No, actually I do.
I was going to say we could probably just go in 2005.
Yeah, he fractured his right fibula, which forced him to miss the first 11 games of the season. But we also know he's a piece of shit, so I don't care.
Yeah.
2005, Baltimore Ravens middle linebacker Ray Lewis failed to record a single interception that year, which was a first for that player. 2006, Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb, whose name sounds familiar. Anyway, he got a groin injury. Ow. That put him on the reserve list for the remainder of the season. 2007, Seattle Seahawks running back Sean Alexander broke his foot third week of the season, which concurrently broke his streak of rushing yards.
Jeez.
Believe me yet.
10 years in a row, basically?
2008.
Oh, God. Nope. Still going. Yep.
San Diego Chargers running back Ladanian, that's what that says. Ladanian Tomlinson was set to be featured on that year's cover. However, the smell was in the air.
Yeah.
Chargers fans feared for Tomlinson. They were like, whoa, 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 whoa.
We're kind of on to what's going on here.
Yeah, we kind of saw what's happening over here, so I don't think you ought to be on that cover. So Tomlinson listened, and he was like, all right, I'm going to back off. And he declined the offer to be on the cover.
Oh, okay. He listened.
So then it was offered to Tennessee Titans quarterback Vince Young. Now, Young made the mistake of mocking the curse on live television. Well, wouldn't you know, that just set him up for an injured quadricep in that turn, and he missed the first game of his career.
Holy crap.
He did eventually return that season, but then he just injured himself again.
Oh, God.
And to me, that just proves that the curse is not to be trifled with. You're like, oh.
And you openly mocked
yeah,
it.
you mocked us? We're going to injure you not once, not twice, but thrice.
Yeah.
Now, alternatively, San Diego Chargers defense end Luis Castillo, I think, was the cover athlete for the Spanish language version, which I didn't know that they would even change for a different version of the game. Who knew? He was also taken out that season due to a knee injury. He didn't talk smack, though, so he got off light.
Right. Yes.
So
someone learned at least a lesson.
You'd think. 2009, Green Bay Packers, Brett Favre. Injury that would affect him until he retired. 2010, Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald and Pittsburgh Steelers strong safety Troy Polamalu. I don't care.
That guy.
They're both featured. First time you'd ever had two players on the cover. So now this is going to be a test.
Yeah.
Let's see how this curse really works.
Uh-huh.
Now, while Fitzgerald went relatively unscathed, he had a less than impressive season compared to previous seasons. So it's kind of like, mild.
He didn't get hurt, though, so...
No.
Okay.
Polamalu, that's how that looks, sprained his medial collateral ligament in the first week of the season, which led to 4 missed games. He returned after 3, and he got injured yet again.
Oh, my God.
2011, New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees, worst season of his career. 2012, Cleveland Browns running back Peyton Hillis missed many games due to his injured hamstring and strep throat, plus several contract disputes, which led to the Browns declining him to re-sign. That sounds like shit.
Yeah.
So
I know what you were going for.
Yeah.
It sounded good to me.
I tried. I haven't done Cleveland in a while. So you see, we went from 2000
That's 10 years.
to 2012. I could keep going.
Wow. Are there any people still doing it? Have they?
There
learned
are
that?
many people still doing it. And while some of these instances are milder than others, even later instances could be considered stretches, you can't argue that something strange is surrounding those who are tapped to be on the cover of this ongoing football simulator. Sure, it may be one of the most profitable video game franchises ever in history, but it helped keep one of the worst video game companies alive and well. So, next time you're sitting at home thinking about the time you had dreams of becoming an amazing football star, just remember that you could have been chosen to be on the cover of Madden NFL game. And you could have seen your career turn to shambles soon after. And you could be somewhat responsible for making money for awful people. And then you'd have to argue that you don't support the company's terrible choices, like adding loot boxes to games like FIFA 18. But you know what? People aren't going to listen to you. Okay, you're on the cover of their games. You clearly support their bad decisions. And then sometimes those same people turn on the developers of the game saying, well, you support them because you helped make this trash game. And then those devs just respond to like, hey, man, I got mouths to feed. I'm just trying to work. I just took a job, man. I know that there's some shady shit going on here, but I didn't say it. I didn't
break his ACL.
I didn't do it. I just made the game. I understand, but come on, man. Don't be blaming me. Doesn't matter. They made it. And they're a target. And then they target the players of the game, criticizing them for supporting loot boxes in FIFA 18 because they bought the game. And then those players say, I don't support loot boxes. I just like soccer. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you supported a game that promotes loot boxes by creating a money-hungry company that has a difference of an opinion on what a game should be. Madden football. It's $1 billion franchise that rakes in money every year for a garbage company riddled with numerous scandals and criticisms. I don't understand it, but I also don't care for football.
Yeah.
Who am I to criticize those who love a game and want to play it? You know?
Right?
Some people
can't get it other places.
Some people just love a thing and they want to play a game.
And most people probably don't really know about all of that stuff with EA anyway. They're just like, ooh, new football game.
Exactly. So if some people just want to play a game, let them play the game. I understand that EA is a terrible company, but you know what? They just want to play football, and there's no other way to play football, so let them play football. They want to play football. Let people play the games they want to play. Now, was Madden responsible for the curse? I don't know.
I mean, yes. I'm going to say yes. He gets off the cover and this happens. He clearly cursed something there because he didn't buy his option.
But
so he's now mad.
One could also argue that Tripp was responsible for wanting to transform this board game into a game, a video game, or a simulator, as he liked to point out.
Yes.
It's unclear which is which, but just know that when the truth is revealed, let us place blame on the person responsible for that curse, not those who just want to play a simple sports ball game.
Amen. Amen.
There you go.
Mic drop. I mean, that's a lot though, Steven. That's a lot of people to take out for just being on the cover of something.
Sure.
Like, I think after like the 5th or 6th one, I'd be like, you know what though, guys?
Yeah,
I don't think I want to be on your cover.
But at least a few people got wise and were like, nah.
No. There's just, well, I mean, sports people are very superstitious, I would imagine. So you get that sort of going, it's like, nope. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, well, interesting. Well, happy sports ball to those of you who celebrated. Hopefully you're feeling okay today.
Yeah.
And that's our show.
Woo.
That's our show. You can hit us up sometime on Twitter at Super Mega Crash, or you can go to Instagram to view the weekly icon art Steven puts his time and love into. You can also send us an email to supermegacrash@gmail.com. I was going to Greemail. I've said it before. You can support the show by liking and leaving reviews on your preferred podcast app, and even going to patreon.com/pencil and paper productions. And if you want more than just podcasting content, head on over to youtube.com/pencil and paper productions for more. And we're doing good at Discord. Help make us great and join our Discord into the sibling tomfoolery that we have in there. Links are in the description down below. Thank you for listening. I am Lacey O'Finley.
I'm Stephen White, and I still want to know what that game was that I can't remember the name of the football player on the NES. So if someone remembers the game I'm talking about, it was on the Nintendo. It was somebody's football. And I can't... It was on
the regular Nintendo system.
Yep, it was a regular Nintendo. It was like the one football game that seemed to get passed around. Maybe it wasn't even called football. It could have been like... I don't remember. I'm blanking. I don't know.
I was kind of looking myself right here.
Someone knows. I know someone out there knows the game I'm talking about. Anyway,
okay.
Doesn't matter. I'm Stephen White.
Well, put that in our Discord. Come in, let us know. Go, Stephen. It's this.
Please. I need this answer.
So please give us the name of that football game. But until then, Super Mega Crash siblings, you can also
game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.